Good evening. The Board of Appeals is now in session. Today is Wednesday, December the 14th, 2022. I'm officially calling the meeting to order. On our agenda tonight, we actually have 4 public hearings, and we are going to go through them as listed on the agenda. We do not have minutes to approve from the last meeting, as that they are still in the process of being drafted. We do have a quorum tonight with Aaron Kotak and also Robert Chiswell and myself. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get started. And so I'm going to go ahead and ask Caroline Seiden. Could you go ahead and introduce the first case, the Board of Appeals, which is BOA 9439, special exception for private education institution at 12 East Diamond Avenue, Suite A in the CBD district. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing on special exception, case BOA 9439, 2022, for a private education facility at 12 East Diamond Avenue, Suite A. This is part of the 11,500 square foot retail center known as the Galana Center. It's shown here on the aerial, outlined in blue. This is on East Diamond Avenue between Russell Avenue and Old North Frederick Avenue. Suite A is...
Where is Suite A? Is it on which side of the...
Is right here.
Okay.
The hearing was published in accordance with the requirements of the city charter and code on the city's website, and the property was properly posted. At the present time, there are 13 exhibits in the record files. They are referenced in an exhibit list in the files. The individual exhibits may be reviewed during the course of the meeting or in the Planning and Code Administration office during regular business hours at City Hall or on the city's website. Any objections to the receipt of any exhibit should be noted prior to the closing of the record. Otherwise, they will be deemed received in evidence. The subject property is zoned CBD, Central Business District, and pursuant to Section 24-160F2C5 of the City Zoning Ordinance, private education facilities are permitted as special exceptions in the CBD zone, subject to approval by the Board of Appeals. The applicant went before the Planning Commission on December 7th, 2022 for a recommendation. The Planning Commission recommended approval with 2 conditions as included in Exhibit 12. The applicant, Amy Juarez Flores from Stepping Stone Treatments Program Center, unfortunately was under the weather and was unable to be here tonight. So I'm going to briefly go through her application. And she has sent a volunteer. John Clay is here in case you have any questions that I am not able to answer. But it's a pretty...
So Caroline, can we go ahead and I think that we should swear in all the
Sure.
witnesses. And so, Mr. Clay?
Yes.
And then anyone else that is planning to testify tonight, if you could just stand up and I'll go ahead and swear in everybody all at once, even though your case isn't up. And if you think you might testify, you can stand up too. It still works. And so... You can raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give in this matter shall be the truth and nothing but the truth? Yes. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, Caroline, please proceed.
So this application is for essentially for a private education facility, which is really mostly being used for virtual classes for people that have had their driver's licenses revoked and need to go through a program, driving education program, in order to get their licenses back. The applicant is currently conducting business virtually out of the suite right now, but the MVA requires that they have the ability to do classes in person. And in order for us to sign off on the zoning end of that, she needs to get the special exception. So while she will still mostly do things virtually, there will be a couple of Saturdays a month where they will have classes in person, up to eight people in a class, Saturday afternoons. I think the hours are from 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. And as part of the special exception, there is a new parking chart that was done, and it actually is a less intensive use than a retail use, given that the people that coming to the classes don't have driver's licenses, so they will either be dropped off or take public transportation. She is the only employee, so there's no parking issue on the site, and no concerns that staff has about the use at all. So that's kind of all of the information that I have about the use. And there's a draft resolution of approval with 2 conditions.
Okay, so I'll open it up for questions. Aaron, do you have any?
Yeah, I guess my only question is, because I think this was clear in the record, but I wasn't sure, and I just wanted to confirm. The only use of this space is for the private education facility?
Yeah, so right now, I'm sorry, if you want to answer. Right now, it is also an optical supply shop. I believe it's the applicant's father's shop, but he is apparently going to be vacating it, and then she will use the space. There is something in the record from the landlord that they understand, that she's approved to use the space.
Got it.
So she ultimately will be the only person in there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the only thing I was somewhat concerned or whatever, just in case the hours were ever expanded, that parking lot there can get a little crowded and a little, out of hand sometimes at night. And I don't know what type of clientele, if there's some women involved and everything, but it can be, a tough place at night to come through into that parking lot. So I was just wondering, it said 1 to 4, but I didn't know if there'd be any expanded hours into the evening. That's my only concern. I have a business on East Diamond Avenue, so I see a lot of that. So that's my only concern.
Well, right now it's just in the afternoon, 1 to 4, 1 to 3, so no evening classes right now.
I was just talking, just in case you were thinking of it later. It gets very crowded in there, and it can, not be a nice place for women to be walking around, maybe, if they're coming into a class.
Okay.
That's it.
Is that it? Okay. So, Caroline, can you just put the map back up just
Sure.
for a moment? Again. The
You have it
map
up?
of the site plan.
Oh.
Yeah,
This?
that one there. So the existing shopping center, I believe on the same side as where the driving school will be located, there was a building that was burned out.
Yeah.
Just to the left.
To the left, yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
right next door, or is it?
It's part of, I believe that it is part of that same center was where there was a fire.
It's like 2 doors down.
Yeah.
2 doors down.
Two doors down, okay. And I guess just curious if that area is secure, or it's in the process of being rehabbed in order for it seems like there was a lot of stuff going on there as far as the fire or something that
Yeah,
had happened
I
there.
don't have any
Well, right now I
information.
think there's some rehabilitation going on the street
You
itself.
know?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Go
can maybe
ahead,
help with that. Yeah, the city currently has been working with the property owner to get the property cleaned up and rebuilt per the approved plans.
Okay. So that's in
it's an act-
process.
It's being worked on right now with the city, yeah.
Okay, all right.
It looks like it's almost done.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, thank you then. I don't have any, the other question I think we've already answered it. So the classes would be 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, so 2 to 3 hours.
Yes.
Once a month on a Saturday, or maybe a couple Saturdays a month?
Well, once or twice a month.
Twice a month, okay,
Yes, yes.
okay, all right. Okay, any other questions? Okay.
Nope.
All right, let me see here now, let me just get back to my notes here. Is there anybody else in the audience this evening that would like to testify on this particular case about the driving school? If so, please come to the podium. Okay, I don't see anybody coming forward, all right. So let's go ahead and close the record. I'll need a motion.
Move that we close the record.
A second?
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the record is now, the motion passes 3-0, and the record is now closed. All right, so now this is when we talk, okay? So we're going to go ahead and talk and see if we have any further discussion within the board members regarding this application. Okay.
Nothing additional to add. It's purely like essentially administrative. It fulfills the requirements. It's a permitted use with a special exception, and this is what we need in order to proceed. So.
I kind of like the fact that it is in a shopping center, so there is a lot of opportunity if there's a drop-off that they have the ability to turn around or even just wait until the person is done. So I kind of like the access to the parking lot there, existing parking lot.
Yeah.
Yep. Anything else, Robert?
No, my question was answered.
Okay.
Or my concern.
All right, so I am going to need a motion now so that we can go ahead and vote on this particular application.
All right, I'll make a motion that the Board of Appeals, based on the findings and conclusions outlined in the draft resolution, approve special exception application BOA 9439-2022 and adopt resolution for BOA 9439-2022 with the two conditions presented.
Second.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, we'll go with the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Welcome to Old Town.
Okay. All right. So Jasmine, before we start, would you like to go through, would you like to give an overview of all the cases? Do you want me to introduce them all at once, or are you going to do one by one by one?
So we're going to do one by one, but I'm going to do a background information that's going to be applied to all three
Okay.
applications this evening.
Okay, so I'll say at this point, so that we're going to go ahead now and move into the second part of our public hearing. And we do have three special exceptions in front of us for three separate businesses. However, they are all involved in the same type of business, which is auto repair. So before us tonight is going to be BOA case 94092022, and this is for a special exception auto repair at 429 East Diamond Avenue, Suite D, in the CBD district. Also BOA 94352022, same address, 429 East Diamond Avenue, Suite H, in CBD, and then BOA 94402022, special exception for an auto repair at 429 East Diamond, Suite G. And I just want to get the concurrence of the attorney that it's okay to introduce those all at once.
Yeah.
Eric, all right, thank you so much. Jasmine, would you like to go forward?
Great. So good evening. So this is a public hearing to the Board of Appeals. So before the first applicant presents, I want to provide background information that's applied to all three special exception applications this evening. As shown on the screen, the subject property is located at 429 East Diamond Avenue and is zoned CBD. The applicants are requesting approval for auto repair use in section 24-160 F2 C8 of the City Code. Auto repair services outside of the Old Town District is a special exception use. Two of the businesses also provide body repairs. In section 24-160 F2 C9 of the City Code, body repair services outside of the Old Town District are also a special exception use. And the property is located outside of the Old Town District. Prior to the comprehensive rezoning to the CBD zone, all types of auto uses were non-conforming. In 2018, the Mayor and City Council approved a text amendment to permit auto repair uses as a special exception use, but only outside of the Old Town District. There are three existing auto repair businesses on the property that were operating prior to the text amendment and received a use and occupancy permit. And therefore, these businesses are not required to submit a special exception. There are several auto repair businesses that have been established since the text amendment and required to submit a special exception application in order to continue operations. As part of the applications, the property owner has submitted a site plan to restripe the parking lot. As shown on the screen, The restriping of the parking lot will increase the parking spaces from the approved 22 to 26 spaces. And the property is required to provide 23 spaces for all the uses on the property. Due to the restriping of the parking lot, the property is required to come in conformance with the city code. Given the constraints of the property and the desire to include as many parking spaces as possible for the uses on site, a waiver from the one bike space requirement and the 10% parking lot green area requirement was requested. At the December 7th meeting, the applications were presented to the Planning Commission for recommendation. The Planning Commission concurred with staff's recommendation and conditions of approval, and the Planning Commission also granted the parking waivers as part of their review. So the first public hearing, the first public hearing is Board of Appeals case BOA-9409-2022. The hearing was published in accordance with the requirements of the city charter and code on the city's website, and the property was properly posted. At the present time, there are 18 exhibits in the record files. They are referenced in the exhibit list in the files. The individual exhibits may be reviewed during the course of the meeting or in the Planning and Co-Administrative Office during regular hours at City Hall or on the city's website. Any objections to receipt of any exhibit should be noted prior to the closing of the record, otherwise they will be deemed received in evidence. JM Auto Service is located at 429 East Stedman Avenue, Suite D, which I will go back on the aerial. And this evening, we'll have Jose Blanco and Jose Mendoza this evening to go over the application this evening.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Jose Blanco from Blanco Services,
Great.
and I continue.
Yep, go right ahead.
I'm here
It's your turn to talk. Go ahead.
on behalf of J. Amato and Jose Mendoza, who's been a long-term subcontractor for me, and I started at 427 back in 2012, and I moved over to 429. So I know the usage of the spaces and the problems that it has, and I've been slowly expanding where I now currently reside at 433, which I helped him submit the application so that any issues that arise from either parking or dropping off vehicles or receiving parts, I will help them facilitate that. I currently lease a off-site parking to be able to alleviate any of the parking issues that you guys might have questions about. The usage has always been automotive for that area. They just weren't aware that, they weren't grandfathered in anymore. But that's it. If you have any questions for me or Mr. Mendoza.
Mr. Mendoza, would you like to add anything?
Okay, that's my first time does do my business, my owner. I need an opportunity to my own business.
Okay.
Just give me the hard time to my own business.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, can you, Jasmine, can you put up the site plan for us there for this
Sure.
case again?
Let's zoom in a little bit better. There we go.
Okay. So, because I heard that this was at 429, but then I heard 433 and I heard 427, but we're only focused on.
Yep, on 429.
429. And where is 429 located? Is it the entire?
Yeah, so 429 is this whole entire property.
Okay. Okay. All right. And we're working on Suite G right now?
Suite D.
D. And where's D
So
located?
Suite D is located right center.
Right in the middle
Yeah.
there. Okay. All right. Let me just open it up to the board for questions.
A question, Jasmine, I think for you, actually, just to help understand, I know we're not addressing all three at the same time, but just with the context. Any reason why all three are coming at the same time? Did something precipitate it? And is there anything sort of material different among the three?
So every couple of months, Neighborhood Services goes out and review to make sure all businesses, everyone's following code.
Uh-huh.
And they noticed that 3 of the businesses on this property never received use and occupancy permits. And as we further noted, we weren't sure when they were established. So unfortunately, since a use and occupancy permit was never submitted, now you have to go through the special exception process.
Got it. So it was
Yeah.
kind of the walk by, understood. And then Mr. Mendoza, you said you're familiar with the properties and you're familiar with some of the problems with the properties. Could you expand on that?
Well, that's why I'm no longer there at 429. I used to occupy 427, and I'm Mr. Blanco. He's Mr. Mendoza. Sorry.
I
to
apologize.
clarify.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wrote down
So,
the wrong names.
When I established my business back in 2011, we actually started in a 500 square foot warehouse, and we moved over next to Tolker Automotive, and that was a nightmare in itself with parking situations, but we adapted to it. When the opportunity came from Mr. Yakovic, he let us rent and move over at 429. I was running my shop out of the 429 Unit A or A1. As business grows, we expanded, giving opportunity for the other smaller businesses. But Mr. Mendoza, I've known him since, probably 6-7 years prior to me moving, and I know he wanted an opportunity. He wanted to go out there and go out on his house, and he has done work for me as well in the past. Honest gentleman and a good mechanic. And our needs change, his needs change, the community's needs change, especially with the shutdown of Sears Automotive Center.
Sure.
So now, even now, we have a backlog of clientele that we're finding hard to accommodate, which I don't do any advertising. They do very little advertising. It's all word of mouth referrals. And even with that, the work's still coming in. It's real busy for everybody. But I've extended the offer of collaborating together one way or another. They want to be independent. I do too. I had the opportunity, so they gave me the opportunity to move into these units, and I was able to expand and grow. I know that we can't do this long term, and that's where I'm advising them. This is where you get a head start, and eventually you're going to have to expand or come up with another solution. My solution was get off-site parking for that reason, sublet everything out. We cannot accommodate that, and as you see, even our neighbors over like at Paint Masters, you see how it is over there, and they're established, and it's just a nightmare across the board for the parking situation. We just have to work with what we have. And it gives us the opportunity for us to provide for our families, and it gives us an opportunity to provide services for the community as well.
And so one of the bigger issues that keeps coming up, right, is parking. And so that the restriping is part of this matter. And then your offsite leasing as well to alleviate that. How much does that alleviate the issues with parking? Is this the best we can do on the property with respect to the restriping and the waivers?
The way that the property is set up, it's one way in, one way out.
Yeah.
So no matter what type of business goes there, they're just going to have to back out. There is no way to turn around, and that's why when I moved over to 433, it was a lifesaver. And that's what, if we continue to do business and the board approves this, we might get into the situation where those vehicles will be, reviewed at my location, because there's a easy way to turn around there, a roundabout. So that will alleviate that. I've also came up with the idea, which we're still going to discuss, of having parts be dropped off at my facility as well. I'm pretty much admin. Everything else, the majority of the things I do is subcontracted out, sublet out. I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a body guy, but I've been doing this for going on 12 years now. And I see their need to continue to grow, and I see the hurdles, and I'm always looking at opportunities for us to alleviate the city's headaches, because it's a headache for me, and it's dangerous for the consumer and traffic and everything. So we just have to figure out how we can get along and how we can facilitate this. Unless the city has any other recommendations, that's the only option that I said is like let's just keep renting more parking until we we're comfortable enough.
Yeah, you don't want to keep creating body shop issues just by the nature of the parking lot itself. Can you pull up the site plan again?
Oh, it's up on the right. The screen.
We don't have it here.
Up there.
So as we're looking at the site plan, along the parking spaces where people are pulling in, what's dividing this property from the, as we're looking at it, to the property to the left? Is there a fence there, or is it a flat parking lot?
It's grassy area. It's there's partial fencing for classic automotive auto body, and then the rest is just a grassy area that they can walk back and forth with, and that's it leads over to Tolker's parking space.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Robert?
Yeah, just one quick one. Who's in suite A, B, and C right now?
I believe that is executive, executive automotive.
Bill Fowler?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you gonna have to, work with Bill, for, control of spaces? Because sometimes, you get more business in and you might need to, even if a tow truck comes in, to drop off a vehicle. Because I've seen it when, I've used Classic before, and sometimes you need space to get it in there so they can come out and do an estimate on or whatever. But if there isn't anything there, how I know you said satellite, but you can do the estimates and everything at a satellite, or do they, when the tow truck brings it in or a customer brings it in, will it just be, if there's no spaces, will it just be stopped there right in the aisleway?
Well,
Can I go up there?
Yeah, we have,
well, let me elaborate on that. But with Mr. Fowler, when I was at 429, that's exactly what we had to do. We had to just adapt to the situation. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh, before you speak, just state your name.
I'm
'cause I-
Dave Yaakov. I'm the owner of the property.
Oh, you're the owner,
Yeah.
okay.
So you know Bill, obviously. Okay. So Bill, his whole thing there is he's the easiest going guy in the world. He works with everyone.
Right.
So if something gets dropped off, they're not going to be keeping it out. They're not supposed to be keeping it outside. He has room inside also. I mean, it's a pretty big bay. You're familiar with Bill's bay. It's the same size.
Okay.
So either he'll have enough parking spots outside that are vacant, or he'll have enough room inside. Nothing left outside, nothing left against the building. But I know Bill real well. Obviously, he's been there for a long time. They get along very well.
Good.
And
That's good.
yeah.
Get along with your neighbors.
Well, especially when it's that tight of an area. If you have one bad neighbor, it causes a problem with everyone.
I've got a huge parking lot up the street, and I have problems, so.
Yeah, no. I always try to make sure they all get along, because if they don't, then it's a headache for me, headache for everyone else.
Sure.
So I just wanted to clear that up with Bill.
Okay,
So, thanks.
great.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
No,
So-
you know me over the years, my pet peeve is parking.
It's a good pet peeve to have. It's a good one. So I just have a couple of just basic questions. And so when you say that it's auto repair, are these, does this also include any kind of utility vehicles, or are we talking about cars and SUVs?
It's primarily he works on cars, SUVs, trucks, light truck. I don't think he does like anything heavy duty. There's just that the space would not allow it. There's just where would you fit him? But it's just general
The height,
mechanics.
can't get into the
Height
garage.
requirements and
So one of the questions I was thinking about, even though you're in the CBD zone, Central Business District, is there a noise factor at all if you're working on, let's say, larger engines, or is that just part of the business, that how you get the job done?
it's part of the business. All those units have at one point or another had automotive.
Okay.
And so it's like the noise, it's going to be the same as whether.
Okay.
you know.
And 53 trains coming by every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't help.
After a while, I guess you don't hear anything. Yeah. Okay. I just was wondering what type of vehicles were being serviced in there too. Okay. I think we covered most of the questions at this point. Any further questions? Anything else you'd like to mention?
Okay.
You're okay. All right, so we're going to move on and see if there's any additional testimony on this case. Before I go ahead and ask to close the record. Okay, I don't see any. All right, so I'll ask for a motion to close the record.
Yep, my turn. I'll make a motion that we close the record.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay, nobody. So the motion passes to close the record, 3-0. Now we're going to have a discussion. Okay. So any further questions on, or thoughts on this case?
No, at the risk of repeating myself, and I suspect it'll continue repeating myself, I think we're in sort of administrative territory, right? To continue the existing use and to comply in order to continue to operate as an automotive repair shop. This feels like the right thing to do on the property. It's permitted use under special exception. It's the right special exception to make.
Exactly.
One thing
One for you.
Speaking
Is that-
first next time,
Okay. I thought the restriping of the property
Yep.
was a great idea to allow for additional cars, and also the waiver itself, because I think at the end of the day, we want to see all businesses succeed and have as much opportunity for revenue making that can possibly be made on a consistent basis there. And I've seen some very creative ideas, such as the off-site parking, as a way to deal with the issue and come up with a solution.
Sure.
So I think it seems to be a good partnership there. Any further questions?
Nothing.
Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and I'll ask for a motion for this case.
So I'll make a motion that the Board of Appeals, based on the findings and conclusions outlined in the draft resolution, approve special exception application BOA 9409-2022 and adopt resolution BOA 9409-2022 with the 7 conditions presented.
Second.
All right, any further comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And again, welcome to Old Town.
Welcome to Old Town. All right. Moving forward.
Okay. Next, we have the public hearing for Board of Appeals case BOA -9435-2022. The hearing was published in accordance with the requirements of the city charter and code on the city's website, and the property is properly posted. At the present time, there are 18 exhibits in the record files. They are referenced in the exhibit list in the files. The individual exhibits may be reviewed during the course of the meeting or in the Planning and Co-Administrative Office during regular hours at City Hall or on the city's website. Any objections to the receipt of any exhibit should be noted prior to the closing of the record, otherwise they'll be deemed received in evidence. And Antonio Auto Service is located at 429 East Diamond Avenue, Suite H. And this evening we have Sherman Wills and Antonio Gomez Romero here this evening.
Good evening. My name is Sherwin Wells. I'm representing Antonio Gomez Romero, owner of Antonio Auto Repairs. We applied for this special exception to use the facility as a auto repair and auto body. And we're just here to present the case and get it approved so we can continue operating.
Great, and can you tell us a little bit about the business and
Yes, ma'am.
and what kind of repairs you do?
So Antonio Auto Repairs, he does auto body and auto mechanical repairs. He has 3 parking spaces to the front of the building, plus he has, space to store vehicles inside. All the repairs are done inside the vehicle, so it's not outside. His office hours, no Sundays, Monday to Friday 9 to 6, Saturday 9 to 5. And, he works well with other businesses next door. It's like a repair facility, more mechanics and, autos. So they work together and, they have about 10 to 20 customers a week.
Okay, great. Let's see, do you have any questions?
Sure.
Go ahead.
And how long has this business been in place in that location?
So he was subleasing before, and, when the special exception, I'm actually the one that came and spoke in front of the mayor and council and asked for the special exception to be looked at because, I'm the president of a nonprofit organization in Montgomery County, Maryland for, over 20 years. And I deal with the Hispanic community a lot. Yo hablo español, hablo inglés. So I, help them with their language barrier. And what I was seeing is that there are a lot of empty space that couldn't be rented because the landlords couldn't rent it to people that want to do auto repair. So I came, testified in front of the mayor and council. He directed staff to look at it. They came up with a text amendment, and I didn't know it was approved, and then to find out it was $5,000, you know, the special exception fee, so it was a financial burden, but they had to come up with it because of the, you know, neighborhood services came out and saw it, and, you know, but he was subleasing from somebody that was previously doing auto, so it was already auto, but because the text amendment got passed, he didn't get grandfathered in because he didn't have a use and occupancy, but the previous owner did. And past 6 months, you know, when you did find out, he came in and applied. So, well, that we were deliberately trying to circumvent the city code.
That's true.
Yeah.
Got it. A question I could have asked before, could have asked for the next one. The spaces as they exist now and or when they were going to be restriped, are there designated spots for each of the businesses?
Yes, he has 3 designated spots now. When it's restriped, there'll be, I think, 3 additional spaces created, so it would have more overflow. So plus he does majority of the work in the bay, inside the bay with the lift system. You can have about 6 vehicles in there plus the 3 outside to receive customers.
Right.
So he has ample space to operate.
So the 3 for his, for example, have a sign,
Yes,
you know, designating that, and when the lot is expanded, or at least when there are additional spots added, you're saying those will just be overflow, those will be undesignated and available to any
based
customer?
on what the city tells the owner to do.
Yep.
The owner will get instructions from the city, but from what I understand with the restriping, it'll be 26 spaces, 3 more than what it currently has.
Mhm.
But he currently, as it stands right now, has 3 designated for his, you know, shop that his customers utilize, and then he has a release space for 6 vehicles inside.
Right.
So,
And then for the ones that are assigned to his or frankly anybody else's, I imagine they're roughly right in front of the business? and
directly
not,
in
like,
front of the bay
down
door. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Robert?
Nothing further to expand on Aaron's. Sorry.
It's okay, it's all right. Jasmine, can you put the map up again, just so that we can see, on our materials here, it says Suite D?
So this is Suite H, so they're further,
Suite H.
further
Okay.
close to the end of the property.
Okay, so closer to the street or to?
Right
the-
here, so Suite H is right here.
Oh, Suite H. And is that against the railroad
Railroad.
tracks?
Yep.
It's
Mhm.
against the railroad, so it's in
Yeah.
the back there. Okay, okay. I
Yep,
just
so right
wanted-
next to them is another tenant, and there's the railroad tracks.
Okay. And who's beside what tenant is adjacent to
Easy.
Mr. Romero's business?
I believe that's Easy Towing.
Oh, okay. Oh, more car stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the 3 that I noted that was existing prior
Okay.
to the text amendment.
Okay, okay. And the types of cars that are done, is it similar to what we heard before? Is it cars, SUVs?
Light duty vehicles, cars, minivans, small vehicles, not, you know, any extended vehicles or anything like that, no.
Okay,
They have a tight angle to get in, so it's the smaller vehicles pretty much. Minivans would probably be along one of the longest vehicles that would be worked on.
oh, okay, yeah, because there's not too much room down at the end of the parking lot there, up against the railroad tracks, nothing you can do. Okay, and then the square footage of the bay is similar, 500 square feet?
1,500 or
1,500?
1,600, I think, is all of them are the same size.
Okay, 1,500, I'm sorry, must have misunderstood. Okay, well, I don't have any further questions, and I want to thank you for your work with the nonprofit and
Yes, ma'am.
making it so much easier for all our
Well,
citizens
the
of the
owners are
community.
happy, the small businesses are happy, and hopefully the residents in turn benefit from the
Yes,
ability to get their vehicle service at a less expensive than the larger businesses.
exactly, yes. And we certainly need a car to get around here, even though we have great public transportation. Certainly need a car or a bike. Okay, was there any further questions? All right, see, it's gonna get easier. So, all right. I have a motion first, is there any other further testimony on this case? Okay, not seeing any. We'll go ahead and ask for a motion to close the record.
I move that we close the record.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor of closing the record, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes 3-0 to close the record. Okay, this is when we talk, okay. Any further questions?
He starts.
I'm sorry. We're just having the discussion and then we'll do the motion, okay? I just want to make sure we didn't miss any questions on this case, okay?
To expand on anything, I don't know if you
Okay.
noticed
it's his
around
turn. Okay,
King Pontiac, King GMC just shut their doors a couple weeks ago, so the need of more auto repair is being more and more apparent in this locale, so.
okay, great, yeah. I know I just needed my oil changed and I had to wait 2 weeks
Wow.
to get the appointment. So don't wait till last minute.
That's right.
What you gotta do, plan. I guess the other question is too, once again, it's helping small businesses in our community, helping our citizens, and I think all of our citizens, and I think that's a great partnership, it sounds like, with the nonprofit community here in Montgomery County. So appreciate that too. I guess my only question is because it's way down at the end, I guess that's just the location itself.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Somebody has to be at the beginning, somebody has to be at the end.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I would say, like I said before, I mean, it's consistent with the use before. It's an administrative step to get the permissions to continue doing it. It's a permitted special use under the special exception. I see nothing material in it. It's different at all from what we heard before.
Okay, I agree. All right, any further comments, Robert?
No.
All right, so I'm gonna call for the motion to pass the resolution.
My turn this time? All right, so I make a motion that the Board of Appeals, based on the findings and conclusions outlined in the draft resolution, approve special exception application BOA 9435-2022 and adopt resolution BOA 9435-2022 with the 7 conditions presented.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? A motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
Hey.
Right, so we have one more case before us this evening.
So this is the last public hearing for Board of Appeals case BOA-9440-2022. So the hearing was published in accordance with the requirements of the city charter and code on the city's website, and the property was properly posted. At the present time, there are 17 exhibits in the record files. They are referenced in the exhibit list in the files. The individual exhibits may be reviewed during the course of the meeting or in the Planning and Code Administration office during regular business hours at City Hall or on the city's website. Any objections to the receipt of any exhibit should be noted prior to the closing of the record, otherwise they will be deemed received in evidence. So Castro's Auto Repair is located at 429 East Demon Avenue, Suite G. So they're right next to Antonio.
Okay.
And this evening, so we have David Yokov and Josu Castro this evening.
Okay, great. And so I have to get your name again.
Mine?
Yeah.
Dave Yakov.
Dave, and your last name?
Yakov is Yaakov.
K-O-V, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, that was.
I'm just here to kind of help him out.
Please proceed.
Because he doesn't speak real good English, so
Okay,
I'm kind
sure.
of like helping him out.
So
a little.
I try. I do my best.
Okay.
I can understand everything. Have a good night, everybody. So my name is Josue Castro, and I'm the owner of Castro Auto Service. I'm trying to get auto repair and the permit to do everything that I know to do repair on the cars, and try to do the easy way to everybody that's just looking for us or to repair any car and any moment they need it. That's the best thing that we can try to do every day.
Great, thank you. And how long have you been in business?
Well, in business, probably like 14 years already.
Okay.
But right now to try to get my own business is like around probably 3 to 4 years, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And were you a sublease somewhere else? I'm just pulling from the other testimony, or is this you existing in this business?
No, it just exists in this business right
Okay.
now. I used to work for somebody else in
Okay.
Airport Group.
Okay, okay. Okay, and so we saw that there. I'll open it up to the board for questions.
Just one more question on how long you've been in business, in that space?
And that space is like around 3 to 4 years probably.
Uh-huh,
Something like
3 years.
I can't remember exactly right now.
We've all lost track of time.
Yeah.
It's 3 years. How many parking spaces are designated for?
It's the same way, like 3 spaces outside and then enough spaces inside because the bay we have, probably we can park like 9 to 8 cars inside, so easily to move. Try to use the lifter to put one in the air and then the other one from the bottom to do the easy to the parking, you know. 'Cause it's very-
He has a lift, so he can lift the cars. He has multiple lifts. They all do. But they can lift the cars up and then park underneath of them too. So they get extra space that way if they need it.
Yeah.
Just in case you understand.
And just like, as we asked the others, the nature of the customer is your typical light use.
Looking right now probably is around like 3 to 5 max per week, so I don't have really big
What
deal
kind
with the
of
customer.
You're saying what kind of vehicles?
But I'm glad he answered that question too.
Like everybody, it's like lightweight
Yeah.
vehicles and then small cars, SUVs, but nothing big, like no heavy duty.
And your hours of operation?
9 to 6, something like that.
Monday.
Monday to Friday, and Saturday like around 9 to 2, 3. Sometimes it depends, you know. So many people have any emergencies, so we had to wait for towing or whatever. But we try to do like 9 to 3 max.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Robert?
Sure. Do all of you know each other in the nature of the business?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can, like, if you've got too many that week, will you say, hey, my buddy up the street has an open
Yeah, we
space?
usually-
You can do that,
Yeah.
so that you
So
can,
we try to help everybody
Good.
around there because it's not easy.
Right.
Because the customers sometimes they show up like and they don't call, and then sometimes any car in the middle we try to see if they can move it or try to help them to turn around. So many people they can't back it up like normally people like do it straight up or forward, you know. But we try to see if everybody can move the car or help them down.
oh, I was talking about if you didn't have enough time, like, you know, like Carol said, she couldn't even get an oil change for 2 weeks. Say, if you couldn't work on a car for 3 weeks, say, well, you know, Antonio has a space open right now. Would you say,
Yeah, well,
you can go up to him?
we try to do like the most light jobs sometimes because the oil change is for us it's very quick job, like probably half hour max, and then we try to do that jobs like easily for the customer, and then we know we don't have enough time right now to back and forth or looking for another mechanic, so we try to do the light works first, and then the heavy duty work like probably if you have to do any transmission or
You're
engine.
saying if you're really, really busy, would you say, instead of having the customer go somewhere else, send them to Illyrio, have Illyrio do it?
Yeah.
You work together. Illyrio's the guy next to him, he's got occupancy. So you would say.
Yeah, we work together if
It's
we
good.
full or sometimes.
Work together.
Yeah, work together.
Okay.
That's great. That's great. It's good business. Good positive approach there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Any further questions? I don't know. I asked all the questions at the other cases. I'm sorry. So, let's see. We asked about the parking and the square footage is similar. It's
Yeah, it's
1,500?
similar.
Okay. Okay.
Every bay's the same.
Okay. It looked like on the drawing that the lines were all the same.
Yeah, the only one that's different is the very front's a slightly different, just
Okay.
because it's like a double bay.
Okay.
And then all the ones below it are exactly like just under 1,600 square feet.
Okay, that's great, thank you. Okay, any further questions from the board? Okay, so I'll make a motion to, or no, I'm asking for a motion to close the record. Oh, do we have anybody else that wants to testify on this case this evening? Okay, please come forward. And just state your name into the microphone if you don't mind.
My name is Sherwin Wells.
Okay.
Just want to say all the tenants there, like the owner said, they know each other.
Yes.
And like I was representing Antonio, but if somebody comes to him and he can't do it, he'll refer them to the other one. So they all work together in harmony, and it's
Great.
the same thing for all of them, and they all know each other.
They all know each other. Okay, great,
Yeah, that
thank
was my
you.
point I was trying to make.
Yep, yep, that's
Good business practice.
very good. Anybody else like to say a few words? No? Okay. All right, so I'll make I'll ask for a motion to close the record.
I'll make a motion that we close the record.
All those in favor of closing the record, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion to close the record passes 3-0. Now we're going to talk about the case.
I warned you I'd repeat myself. I'll repeat myself again.
Okay.
Permitted use under a special exception, consistent with the current use, makes no reason why we should not approve the special exception.
Okay.
And I just want to just to make sure, on the one paper, it was BOA 9440, and this says 9439, so which one can we go for the
So when Jasmine introduced the case,
440?
440, we're voting on 9440 now.
Yes.
Correct.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, so,
Okay.
any
Okay.
other questions? No. Again, I like the way the parking is set up and the ability to move the cars back and forth, jockey them around, get them in and out. That helps with the enhancement of business services, streamline, and makes it a lot easier just to go to work every day and get your job done. So I think it's good for the community, and I think it's great for the small business owners too. So those are my comments as we round up our hearing this evening on these particular cases. All right, any further discussion? All right, so I'll call for a motion to pass this resolution.
I make a motion that the Board of Appeals, based on the findings and conclusions outlined in the draft resolution, approve special exception application BOA 9440-2022 and adopt resolution BOA 9440-2022 with the 7 conditions presented.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay? Resolution passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Now, we're going to continue on with some just business matters. You're welcome to stay, or you can leave. We have no further questions for you this evening.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Oh, you too. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Backside.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good evening. Thank you.
See you, lady.
Oh, you got a little one
Thanks,
there,
guys.
too.
Yeah, we were
She
hoping
did
your
great.
spokesperson would join the,
I was gonna see if she wanted to say anything when you asked.
no testimony from her?
It's okay.
Thanks for joining
Thank you
us.
very much.
Good night.
Thank you. Okay, well, from the staff, Caroline, and then we'll come over to you, Eric.
Sure.
Next meeting is scheduled for January 11th, 2023. But we may not have any new applications, so hold on to it for the moment, but I'll let everybody know as soon as we know if we're going to meet or not. Have a happy holiday. And even though they already left, I just wanted to, if they ever watch this back, thank all of the applicants. This was a chock full of small businesses. Wasn't easy. They had to come to 2 meetings and do a lot of paperwork that I'm sure was onerous for a small business. So we appreciate that they all came in and they're all able to get their use and occupancies now and be legal. So we're happy about that. That's all I have.
That's great. And Eric, do you have anything for us this evening?
Just second everything that Carolyn said, and happy holidays to everybody.
Okay, great, and happy holidays to you too. And
Likewise, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Would you like to say anything, Robert?
Happy holidays, happy new year to
Okay.
everybody.
Okay,
Glad
well,
we pulled it off 4 in one night. That's
That's a lot.
could be a record.
Yeah, I think so.
it is. So not hearing any further business, this meeting is now adjourned.